Terry Adams, my man.
What up?
You tell me, what's up?
Right now, just sitting here talking to you, just kind of winding down after a whirlwind of events between all the ABFLs and the X Games, and just getting ready for this premiere, the road home that's happening right here in my hometown.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have all this stuff that we're going to talk about today. And the timing, honestly, is perfect when you hit me up just recently and we were talking about stuff and thinking about doing one of these. I'm like, man, it would be sick to do like the wrap up from the ABFL because we talked about doing that already. And I think this is the second or third time we've done a podcast, so I'm excited. But the ABFL just wrapped up with Huff Jam, and I was psyched to see you on the top spot on the podium.
Thank you, thank you. I was obviously excited about it. It's funny because you come home from those events, and sometimes the times that I've like not won or like came home with like a second or a third place, it's like those times I'm almost like more motivated to
Mm.
come home, like get back to work. So since I got back from Huff Jam and things went as well as they did for me for the season and wrapping up the series of winning the points as well, it's almost like I got home and just like wanted to breathe a minute because it has been like not forcing myself to ride, but a lot of like training and kind of preparing to make sure that those events went well for me.
Yeah, taking a deep breath and it's like, whew, it all worked.
It all worked, yeah. And but obviously, I'm back on the bike already, and just excited to kind of like ride a little bit right now while I'm at home, and not really worry about like a contest routine as much.
Yeah. So take me through Huff Jam. How'd it go? Did you think that you had a chance whenever you were taking your runs? You nail everything perfectly, or
Um, I tried to put myself in like the best spot possible to make sure I had like multiple strategies if something went wrong or if I had to be in the lineup after someone that would make me really nervous. And that's exactly what happened is they kind of went off our points for the year. And since Dub and I were tied, uh, and I won Vegas, and then he won Houston, and we were both first and second place for those events. It kind of came down to like as far as the points and who was going to take the series title. Whoever was going to win, North Carolina was gonna win the title and then the event. And I was I'm always nervous if I have to ride like after Dub, but this was the first event where I showed up with said, you know what, if he's in my group, he's in my group. If uh, if I have to ride after him, I'll just kind of suck it up and ride after him, and that's exactly what happened. They went off our previous points.
mm-hmm.
Dub went first, and I went second. So um, I'd be lying if I said I like wasn't nervous or like wasn't stressing it. I found myself like in the bathroom at the event, sitting on the toilet, not going to the bathroom, but just like breathing and trying to pull myself together a few times before I realized like, man, I think I need to like get out the bathroom and just go talk to people and have fun while I'm here and whatever happens happens. So it just kind of all worked out.
So you've been competing for a long time, and it sounds like you're still like it's not just every day for you, even at a contest after this long. You're still like nervous and feeling the I don't know the weight of the moment.
Yeah, I guess staying around the US, it's almost like more pressure sometimes for me because when I like do all these international events like the feast and the stuff in Japan, as I've, you know, it, it's almost like you're going against like so many riders and this the classes are just so vast and big. And here in the US, I almost feel like more eyes are kind of on me to where it's almost like people are just expecting me to do well. And sometimes that creates like a little bit of unwanted pressure for me.
Mm.
Um, And when I was younger, like in my 20s and late 20s, maybe early 30s, I kind of like liked that pressure. I almost like it almost like feeded my ego a little bit on like, yeah, yeah, they're expecting me to do well. I'm going to do well. But now that I'm a bit older, that pressure definitely sometimes gets the best of me and uh, maybe gets in my head a little bit that people are just expecting me to do well. Um, so the good news is that it kind of keeps me like being overly prepared all the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm having those 2 and 3 sessions at home preparing for an event, it's to make sure like, hey, look, even if my placing might not be that well when I come back, at least I'm gonna make sure I leave there with a good performance. And sometimes that's like just as important to me than what place I get.
Yeah, man, and it has to be reassuring to feel those nerves and be like, after this long, I feel this pressure, but then walk away with the win. eh, Like, I could still do this.
Yeah, and it's obviously like never a given, like anything can happen in a 3-minute contest run. Like, you can be overly prepared and then mess up that first or second trick and then kind of start tumbling from there in your mind
Mm.
and it's sometimes it's hard to recover. So what I do at home here is just kind of like as many times as possible before I get there is like make sure every scenario kind of happens. Like if I mess up my first trick, just like get back on the horse and keep riding. And normally the chances are like if I mess something up once at home, the chances of me messing it up a second time is, you know, the chances aren't that high. So I just try to keep that in my mind. If I fall, it's like, well, I fell, but I can get back up and finish strong.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing in your Instagram stories there was a specific thing you were doing that you were like drilling, trying to make sure 100%. You were putting it out there like, I have this much time to lock this down before whatever. And then I can remember you had it where you were like failing, and then the closer it got, you were getting it, and
Mhm.
it was interesting to see that because you don't see like how many people who are competing in BMX or anything in general are showing that inside look at the process of getting ready, you know?
Yeah, I mean, really, for Flatland and competing at a high level, the name of the game is to like hammer it in your brain so much, you know. So by the time you get there, whether you're nervous or whether you're not feeling so well, uh, you know, you can kind of, through muscle memory, kind of get through it, even
Mm.
if you're a little bit shaky or maybe not in that flow state of of being able to just let everything go. The goal is to hammer it enough at home to where, I guess Dave Meir said, if you do your homework, the test is easy type of thing. So sometimes easier said than done, but I've definitely kind of used that quote that he had in my brain many times. So
I would love to hear how you would describe and define the flow state to someone if they were like, I don't understand at all.
yeah, honestly, I don't understand it. There's been is there's been only a couple times in my career where I can honestly say like I was 110% in that flow state to where the body was just kind of moving freely and everything else was just kind of like non-existent. I was just one with the bike and everything with the crowd or the judges or what place I was going to get, none of that was really there. It was just kind of like me and the bike. And there's been times when I've won events that I wasn't in the flow state. There's been times that uh, I got second and third place that I was in the flow state. But it's kind of like that pinnacle of where you want to be. No matter what place you get, if you can kind of tap into those feelings of like not caring about anything but the present moment and the bike beneath you, that's like the true flow state, and I guess the way I would describe it.
It's like if there's two gears and you're the bike and the body and everything else just perfectly meshing together for this moment in time. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely been a couple times where I knew I was in it, and I would go back and watch the footage, and I'm like, dang, what did I do different to like, what did I do different that day to like reach that? And sometimes the only answer I could come up with is, you know, approaching that day of like competition day with like it, the least amount of stress that I can put on myself, you know? So when you see like top athletes like Matthias and I don't know, maybe throw like Sean White in that category or like, throw a Dave Mira in that category on the competition day, if you go up and speak to them, they're not in a super stressed mood, you know. Every contest Matthias has done well at, and he is like a the most winningest rider in this sport. He's dancing, he's having fun, he's laughing, he's kind of moving around freely even when he's not on the bike, where you can tell he's like not in his own head. So kind of taking uh kind of looking at these guys as inspiration on what they've done over the years has definitely helped me. If I look at the guy that's the most winningest guy in the sport that doesn't look stressed, well, dang, what do I need to do to like not look stressed the day before the or the day of the event?
Yeah, man, it's like it's a crazy thing if when you try to break down like, all right, how do I get there? Because
Yeah.
it feels like when you're in that moment, it just happens, and there isn't some specific thing that you did. It just somehow everything is aligning perfectly in that moment. I couldn't even explain how you'd get there.
Yeah, it's almost having a mixture of like um a mixture in your mind of uh caring and not caring, almost like,
Yeah.
you like it, like having expectations on yourself but then having no expectations on yourself, because if you just put all these expectations of like, I'm gonna be perfect, I'm gonna be perfect, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna pull this trick, then you're like setting yourself up for like, if this doesn't happen exactly how I want it to happen, then then nothing's then then nothing's going to be great except that. But if you kind of take yourself out of that and do like a 50-50 in your brain, then you're kind of approaching it with a better mindset, in my opinion.
That absolutely makes sense. And you go in prepared, but just let whatever that's supposed to happen happen.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. So I've been getting texts and phone calls from you here and there for the past year, probably. And there's this big project you've been working on, and it's a movie, you'd say. And I would love for everybody else to hear about it directly from you, like what it is, what it's taking to do it, and all of that.
Yeah. So it's a documentary. The name of the documentary is The Road Home. And when this whole project started, a guy approached me named Billy Henrinkle, and he wanted to write my book. And I got his message off Facebook, actually. So I met with him at a local coffee shop, and he kind of started the process writing my book. And we were about midway through of working on my book, and he said, I think this could be a movie, like a documentary. And so he kind of signed on as being like director, producer of this thing. And then from there, we kind of built a team. And I was already working with a production company out here, Blue Dot Productions, that had did my 20-year Red Bull video, and they did like an amazing job. So we kind of linked up as like this team to get this done. And then we set off to try to get some investors to help out with this thing, and then we just started working, and that was like a year and a half ago, to where we kind of got a plan of what we wanted to do with this thing. In the beginning it was like, man, what do we call this thing? Like, let's call it addicted to discipline, because how motivated you are, and just how many years you've been doing this, and what it's really taken to get here, and how you're maintaining it. But then the more we dove into the book and the story of what the documentary should be, I kind of kept coming back to this thing of like, man, I'm so grateful that like all my friends and family have like supported me. I wouldn't be here where I'm at right now if like a lot of these people that came into my life when I was young, that got me into riding, still like wasn't a part of my life and wasn't a part of my riding. So, and no matter where I'm at in the world, I always come back here and I find motivation from these individuals that got me into riding and kept me motivated all these years. And then my family plays a big part in that now as well. With, you know, my wife supporting me, and my son being a huge motivator in my life since he was born, kind of, prompted me to get back into shape. And now with him being autistic and nonverbal, it all kind of played into this story of like why I love coming home, and which is why we landed on the name The Road Home, because it's all about kind of coming back here after I'm done competing at all these events around the world to what really matters most in life, which is everyone around here that continues to support me and keep me motivated at home. So sorry for that long
That
rant.
was perfect. That was perfect. So like what's the scope of what's covered in the documentary? Is it your whole life? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, this thing dates back to like 1993 when I first started.
That's when I
Uh,
was born.
yeah, bro. So the coolest thing is I was able to like get a bunch of VHS tapes and have them dubbed over, to where we just had so much footage to choose from back in the day of me, doing box jump shows when I first started, and racing BMX, and just doing wheelies in the yard as a 10-year-old kid, and kind of bring it full circle all the way through my entire career, the highs and the lows, the times where I just had some lows in life and needed to kind of pick myself back up. And my son is obviously a huge part of the film. And then it kind of comes back to where I'm at right now in life. So there's a huge mixture in there with my career and what I've accomplished, but the majority of the film is about life, and about uh, my friends, and about Flatland in general, on like what it's done for me, and how I've used Flatland as a tool to not only like learn tricks and make a career, but use it as a tool to kind of overcome all these obstacles, with the mindset that it's given me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a huge project. So, like, is there going to be any type of distribution for it at all or anything like that?
We're definitely working on that right now. I guess at this very moment, our sole purpose is like that first world premiere of like showing it here in my hometown. My city has gotten really involved. The the tourism board here in my city of Hammond, Louisiana, which is Tangipahoa Tourism, has gotten really involved and helped getting this theater that's like from like 1928, um, helped me with the organization of the Flatland Jam that I'm going to do the same day, because it just kind of made sense with all these riders coming to like enjoy the movie that night. Like, hey, bring your bike, let's all session together. So there'll be a Flatland Jam the same day, and then that night there'll be a big after party at a local brewery, Gnarly Barley. Um, but yeah, so the main focus is that right now, and then after that's over and the dust settles, we're definitely in talks with different streaming companies to see where this thing is actually going to land and have its own home where people will be able to download it at a very affordable price to watch it.
That's super cool, man. So you mentioned the world premiere. That's that's the thing I kept getting these texts about, and I'm sure, but it's awesome because it's like nothing ever happens huge like this that's super successful without the legwork put in. You've been putting in that legwork, and so I guess what I'm getting at is, can people still be able to go, or is it full? Or
It's not full. So there's 800 seats in the theater. There's 830 seats actually, and I think 30 seats is in there. It would just be hard to view the screen just because of the location of them. So I like to say 800, and the theater's never been sold out. My goal is to sell this thing out, so I'm working every day to like make sure that I can possibly get that done. If I end up at 750, then I'll still feel like it's a win to have that many people in there.
mm-hmm.
Um, but I would say yes, if you are planning on coming, or if it's something you want to come out and view, be a part of the jam that day, like get your tickets as soon as possible. Because I know for sure, like the first like 3 or 4 days, like over 300 tickets sold. But I do know for sure that there's still a ton of tickets available. So I would say just get them soon and start making travel, and figuring out a way to get here if it's something you want to check out.
Yeah. So when is it exactly again?
It's September the 20th, uh, and the jam is on the same day. It's right here in Hammond, Louisiana. If you go to downtown Hammond .com, there's like a link on there for the road home. There's a special rate for a hotel. What's cool is the jam is like less than a mile from where the premiere is going to be that night. The jam's going to go from 11 to 4 o'clock. Then you go back to your hotel, which is also only about a mile away, get cleaned up, and then head to the premiere. The movie is going to start at right at 7:30, but I would think that people are going to start lining up about 6:30, 6:45 to make sure they get a good seat in the theater.
It's super rad. So is the book gonna be part of this at all? Like, is it done?
The book is completely done, and it's the same name as the movie. The first goal was to have the book available there that night, but the book is now with a literary agent. So we're just kind of waiting for it to land in a spot as well. So the book will probably come early next year, or hopefully by the end of the year.
I gotcha. So we're about a month and actually a month and 2 weeks, month and a half out exactly right now. So yeah, it's cool to see this because it's a subject that I've talked about recently myself in BMX, and not like waiting on other people and hoping that other people are going to do something for you in the world of BMX or anything in general. Like if you had waited for somebody to approach you like with all of this opportunity that you've made happen through the bits and pieces that did come on their own, like I'm not trying to be like negative or anything, but it wouldn't be the same probably. Like you are making a lot of this happen and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I I would be, I guess, naive to think if like there's probably a lot of people out there that think that I'm extremely aggravating, because I have like spent a lot of time over the years, you know, texting people over and over different things that I've wanted to happen for my career or an event. Even dating back to when I was like a little kid, going to a payphone, calling 1-800 ride a GT, to try to get Woody Itson on the phone to try to get sponsored. Like I wasn't good enough to get sponsored at all, but I kept calling him, and if anything, it kind of gave me the confidence of like, well, I can speak to an adult. I can. This is how it is to like update someone that I'm progressing at as a rider, and still today I'm 100% still using that strategy of like I'm not calling 1-800 Ride a GT anymore, trying to get sponsored, but for something like this premiere, I am probably overdoing my welcome with, you know, checking in with people, checking in with them twice, making sure you're here, are you available, did you get your ticket yet? Because I know if I wouldn't do that, like you said, the outcome, there might not be half of those tickets sold that are sold right now. So just kind of taking that strategy that I took as a kid and still doing it now at 41.
Well, it's one of those things, like, even if all like you even if you did absolutely nothing and all of a sudden you have a premiere that's coming and you didn't do any of what you're doing, you would have, like you're saying, who knows what the numbers of people who would be coming are. And it's just a perfect representation of like, if you do the work, if you do your homework, the test is easy. Is that what it was?
That's Dave Mirra quote right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But no, I'm like very excited about the movie because it's not just about Flatland. It's not just about myself. There's so much mixed in there about what it's like to raise an autistic child that's nonverbal, what it's like to have that family dynamic with me as a professional athlete and raising him, and what it's like to travel with him. I mean, the cameras like traveled with us to North Carolina last year, that last stop, and got those moments of, bringing him through the airports and having him with us, and also like just life in general. There's definitely like a career this long, there's peaks and valleys
mm,
of, you know right now I feel like I'm at a peak even though my age, but there was definitely some times in my 30s where there's stuff that I regret, the way I acted, the different things I was doing, just wasn't being on top of things, and I made sure to kind of like talk about that and put it in the film as well, just to kind of show people that, no one's perfect, and but there's a way to like get through life and accomplish the things you want to accomplish. And for me, I was able to like use Flatland, use the bike, and use everyone around here, my friends, my family, all the riders. That's always motivated me to kind of help me through, get get through a lot of those things that I was going through, and still kind of wake up every day and like grateful for that.
yeah, man. It sounds like there's a huge gamut of things that could be relatable for anybody. And it would be a great vehicle for once it does make it to those streaming platforms for normal people who don't ride bikes to watch this and connect with it in some way, which might make them want to decide to jump on a bike, or the butterfly effect of things that could bring BMX into things in some way.
Yeah, and even if not BMX, like something else,
Mm,
thankfully I found BMX and it was such a positive outlet for me as a kid. But um, when I was little, like I was like extremely dyslexic, and I just nothing really fit. My mom had me in everything from like dance lessons, baseball, music lessons, and I couldn't. I had just a big problem following directions. It was just very difficult for me to figure anything out. And but then when I found the bike, everything changed. It was like that moment when I got the bike. It was kind of like uh, it was the first time that I felt free, because it was like just me and the bike. I was making this thing move, and then when I came across like people actually doing tricks on these things, and finding that first BMX magazine and meeting riders that actually like live the culture of BMX. I mean, the obsession was real and it's like still going strong, you know?
Yeah, man, I feel like Flatland is a subculture of BMX that just takes that even further inherently in itself, in that you can have you as a 41-year-old guy winning the pro class at Huff Jam, but also competing against people potentially half your age or even less than that, who you have no idea in the beginning of it, like who's gonna win. Where other avenues in BMX, it's way less likely to have that same type of thing at that level.
Yeah, like I always tell people the cool thing about Flatland is like when I was 12 years old, the guys that I looked up to that were like 19 and 20, those guys are still riding and those guys are like still riding at a high level, you
Yeah.
know. Alex Jumlin, when I was like 12 or 13, he was like 18 and he's still, you know, competing at a very high level at all the biggest events in the world, you know, just at X Games and everywhere else. So um, it's cool to still have those guys to look up to go like, man, I'm 41, but they're still going. Like there's, I don't see an end in sight as long as I can like mentally and physically, you know, stay sharp.
Absolutely. And on the same note, like BMX at that time was so young that like we don't have people who were, you know what I'm trying to say? Like we don't have people aging out of BMX yet in terms of the greater like scope of things.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was like 15, 16, and I was looking at guys that were like 27, 28, I was like, man, that guy's 27 years old. You know, like I was like making comments like that. I was like, you know, like that guy's like almost 30 years old. And like here I am, like looking back at those moments, like, man, that was so silly for me to say, you know?
But that's, I feel like that was everybody with everything in that time period. Like, didn't matter if it was BMX or whatever it might be. It's like 30 was old, and
Mhm.
now it's like 30 is still your prime.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I, I wake up every day and I'm like, I can't believe I'm still like going out there and like having this much fun riding. Like it feels legitimately like I'm flying. I'm like,
Mm.
how could this feel any better? And then the next day I go out and it feels even better. It's like it keeps like topping the way it feels. And those same emotions that I had when I was a kid on like what Flatland felt like, I think, well, I know for sure that's what keeps me doing it, is that like I still feel those exact feelings of like just feeling free and feeling at peace and like not having to answer to a coach or not having to follow directions and really just going out and doing my own thing has given me not only a lot of peace in my life, but has also given me a lot of motivation with other things of like, man, if I can learn how to ride the bike like this and like make this trick happen that was just something in my head, it kind of makes everything else in life like seem easy, kind of. You know, it's like if you spend 6 months on a trick or 3 months on a trick just trying it and you're able to get it, then like, man, going to get like a loan for a house and like signing a couple papers or getting through something that you would think that would be difficult really doesn't feel as difficult anymore, you know?
Yeah, and all it takes is that conscious mental shift of putting and directing the same energy that you put into that 6 month BMX trick into something else for you to go from that. Like, it's very easy to have a pessimistic mindset for those types of things, or just feel like I don't know what I'm doing, I can't do it. But if you
Mm.
shifted your energy to being like, well, I didn't know what I was doing with that trick, I spent 6 months, I don't know what I'm doing with this, be willing to spend 6 months, and exactly what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah, that in 2008, I did this other documentary that my best friend made called Dreams, and like the number one quote that I said in there that gets repeated a lot was, "If I can learn how to ride this bike upside down with my feet crossed, then I can learn how to do anything in life." And it stands true, you know. It's like if you can figure out how to manipulate a bicycle like that in your mind, and then bring it to a physical form and actually like get it done, then it kind of makes everything else in life just seem easy and simple.
I'm gonna use that because I literally had the vision of like I want to do an upside down ice pick stall and a quarter pipe,
Yeah, and you
and
did, and got up underneath the bike, and then like, I mean, really, like if you can somehow make that happen and come true, I mean, come on, like what else? What else is there in life that you can't accomplish, really?
yeah, absolutely. And when you said the CrossFit thing, that's what made me think about it, is because it started as just I want to be upside down. I want my bike to be upside down in an ice pick. And then it ended up being that the way that it worked was me ended up having to be cross footed,
Yeah.
and it made it
Oh,
work. So it's funny, like yeah. We've everybody's had those conversations of how like BMX translates to everything else in life, and it's just real.
yeah, I agree.
Real quick here, everyone, I just wanted to remind you that I do have a discount code with Dan's Comp where you can use it to buy literally anything from the website and save yourself 10% while also helping me out at the same time, whether it's a frame, a bike, just some pedals, a tube, whatever it might be. Save you some money and help me out at the same time. And I want to say thank you to Dan's Comp for the support. Continue the podcast. So, since the last time that we talked, we've talked at length about longevity and the things that you do to keep yourself, your body and your mind fit for what you're doing. Is there anything new in the last year or so?
I've stayed pretty consistent with everything. I guess I would say the one mistake that I definitely made was the obsessiveness of waking up that early. I'm starting to realize, yes, I can wake up that early, but I have to be in bed at a certain time. Like
Mm.
if my body is not recovered and I'm not getting enough sleep, it's doing more harm than good. And that was a really tough pill for me to swallow, because in my mind, man, I'm getting up this early, I'm getting it done, I'm getting stronger. But what I didn't really see is I was definitely like sometimes showing up to contests with not as much energy because I wasn't getting the proper amount of sleep. Sometimes I was like a little bit more sore than I should be while I was riding, but it wasn't because the workouts I was doing was, you know, was too much. It was just because my I wasn't giving my body enough rest time to recover while I was sleeping. So taking the rest days off from riding is like for me now just as important as the time on the bike, and same with sleeping. I'm still getting up very early, but it's a top priority to be in bed, by 8:15, 8:30.
Yeah, man, that's huge, and you can easily just completely take away everything you're doing by not getting that sleep. It's definitely something that, like, if sleep over everything else, kind of, if you just need it, if you don't get it, then none of it
Yeah,
can
I mean,
work.
it definitely probably played a factor into this year with ABFL of like um giving myself that little bit of extra sleep and recovery time if I needed it, to not ride a day or two during the week. Definitely played a part in me like showing up to those events a little bit less stressed, a little bit more rested, and just it kind of became just as much of part of my preparation as the riding and the working out was. Is like, yeah, riding and working out is important, but rest and recovery is as equally as important. And it just took me a long time to kind of figure that out, because in my mind it was like very low on the totem pole of things that I needed to prioritize. And over time, it was like starting to wear on me. And it's even hard for me for whatever reason. It's like hard for me to admit that I was kind of like in a way kind of holding myself back uh by not prioritizing those things. But it just takes me a little while longer. Sometimes I have to like shoot myself in the foot 5 times before I'm like, oh, don't point the gun at your foot, you know?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a psychological thing as a BMX rider, though, because we inherently, in the middle of riding in the heat of the battle, just disregard our bodily like safety and things like hydration and all of that for the sake of trying to get what we want. You know, you're 2 hours deep in a trick. You're like, I don't care that I need to go fill my water bottle. I'm gonna land this trick. So it's very easy for that to translate to like, well, I didn't get enough sleep, but I still need to go out there and I need to go ride and I need to land this trick.
Yeah, and look, there's definitely guys out there that are probably really good at prioritizing everything, and really good with like maybe not over obsessing over one thing and doing too much of it. But that it is definitely not me. You know, I I sometimes will have 50 people tell me like that I'm overdoing something, but I'm not gonna really get it through my head until something happens, until like, I show up to an event and it's just very obvious that I wasn't as rested, or I wind up pulling something in my back because I wasn't working on my core, or like sometimes I just really need to be like I need to have something bad to happen before I make a change.
Yeah, and if as a BMX rider we could get past the bullheadedness that we do have for like disregarding everything except for the trick at hand, you find that the same way that you're at one with your bike when you're riding and you can feel everything, if you pay attention to your body, you can have that exact same thing with your mind and your body. And when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh man, like me today, I went hard yesterday. So I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I just knew I wasn't going to ride today because I can feel that if I rode today, it would wear me down even more. And then tomorrow would be even worse.
Yeah, and I'm very guilty of like not taking breaks and like just kind of pushing through those sessions, and the sessions not being that great and me not even realizing why, of like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I should have took Wednesday off.
Yeah, and then you can take that a step back rather than a step forward because I think there's a lot of people who haven't even gotten to the idea of like everything you put in your mouth is the fuel for what you do on your bike. And if you put garbage in, like if you put bad gas into an engine, it's going to run like crap. When you put bad gas into your engine, which is you to ride your bike, you're going to run like crap.
Yeah, thankfully with the food stuff is since I do eat so clean, now the moment something goes in my body that's not clean and I go out to have a session, I mean, you can tell
Oh,
that
yeah.
your body's not using it for fuel, it's weighing you down, it's not giving you the proper energy, and um but then when you're eating the proper food and putting the right stuff in your body, it's almost in a way, I feel like anyway, that it almost gives me like superpowers or something, where I'm like, dang, like my body uses up all the energy it needed, and then when I'm getting tired, it's almost because I've like burned through all that fuel,
Yep.
and it's time to like, rest for a little bit and then eat again, and then I'm feeling great again.
Yeah, dude, you can feel when you're riding the line where you're like, all right, I used everything that I put in and now I feel weak because I'm out of gas and I need to put some more gas in there. That's definitely a thing. And then, like, once you figure out when you start to eat a little bit better, you feel better. And it's crazy how there's just more and more steps and there's an infinite level until you're like, a super mega millionaire and you're lowering your biological age by 20 years because you put $1 million into your health.
Yeah, no, it's the truth, man. It's the truth. There's some guys that like You look at them and they're like, man, they're 50 years old, they're 55, and they look so good. And if you see anyone online or come across anyone like that in a gym that's 55, man, go look at their diet and look what they're eating, and they're probably eating all the proper shit, you know?
Yeah. So I guess that was like an update on you since we last talked. But I've actually started doing a couple things different since we last talked too that I would preach to everybody. Like I started taking BPC 157 every day, if you've heard
Hmm.
of that.
Yeah.
And like I so the story behind that for me, and I'm gonna make a dedicated video just talking about my experience with it, but I bought it on a Black Friday sale because it was however many percent off, and I was like, oh, I've heard about this stuff, and I'll buy it because it's cheap, and then if I ever feel like I need it, I'll have it. And then 2 years went by, and I'm like, oh yeah, I still have this stuff, and I had hurt my knee in that time, and I was also hesitant with the company because it's one of those things where like when you look that stuff up, you really have no idea, and you find out you're supposed to talk like consult with a doctor and get it from a real compounding pharmacy and all these things. I'm like, oh, I just bought this from their website. So they're still around, and like they do it says that they do these tests, whatever. So I'm like, I'll start trying to take it. Took it for 2 months, and the way I described what happened, because my knee had this like looseness to it where I don't think anything's torn, but it felt like the looseness was like this, and taking it made it go like that, like
Hmm.
like pull everything tighter together.
It
And
brought down inflammation. Yeah.
yeah, and that's a huge thing. And it was like, and then I ran out of it, and I noticed when I ran out, it was like it didn't get as bad as it was, but I started to notice it again, and then they did like another crazy sale, so I bought like 8 months worth of it, and I've been taking it every single day, and it's like I feel awesome from taking that.
Yeah, and it's great that you did that, bro, because a couple of the supplements that my nutritionist had me taking, and then I took it for like a couple years, and then I ran out, and then I was like, well, let me see what my body's gonna do without it. And then that's when I noticed the big difference is
Mm-hmm.
like taking it for months, years, and then finally going, you know what? Let me try to run without it and see the changes in my body and the way I feel, to where, man, like a month would go by, month and a half, when everything was completely out of my system for sure. I'm like, okay, I need to get back on it. So like creatine is a big thing
Yep.
uh, for me, where like I started taking it because my nutritionist had told me like, look, I think it's going to help with like your explosive movements on the bike, and obviously it'll help you hold a little bit more of your muscle with as much cardio as you're doing on and off the bike. And I definitely like thought I felt something of it like helping with the muscle mass and those explosive movements that I do on the bike. But man, when I got off from it and I really noticed the changes in my body and how I felt on the bike, and not to mention, it was kind of really helping me cognitively with
Yeah.
how fast I was thinking on the bike. Man, I went back to it really quick. So I'm taking that as well as curcumin, turmeric.
Yep.
Um, I was, one thing that I had changed up with my fitness stuff is I had started running like about 100 miles a month, and my knees were starting to like. I'm like, man, am I overrunning? Obviously, probably a little bit running that much and riding, but I started to tweak these little things in my knee with inflammation, the backs of my knee, my ankles. When I started taking the turmeric, curcumin, like 1,000 milligrams, like pretty much like organic ibuprofen, to where you're just not putting ibuprofen in your body, and you're just putting that turmeric in there. So I stand true to the turmeric, man.
I'm
That and fish oil, just things that just keep your body just kind of moving freely, your joints, and the turmeric taking down the inflammation. It's supplementation is not a joke. I mean, yeah, you can go down the supplement aisle and get like extremely overwhelmed, but then you can also go like, okay, well, let me take two things right now and see what my body's going to do, and if it is going to bring down that inflammation. Just like with you, that's what happened. The inflammation just came off that knee, and you know how to keep it off now.
Yeah, dude. And another thing that I did that I had wanted to do for a long time was I bought a sauna
Hmm.
and I put that thing in my living room facing the TV and I use it all the time. And you combine that with the supplementation and trying, like, I don't eat super clean. I do as best as I can, but you combine all those things, add in the BPC, and dude, when you get out of that thing, you feel like you're vibrating. Like your whole body has this like just awesomeness to it that the second you go away from that routine, you notice it.
Yeah, it's the blood flow. It's making that blood flow going. Yeah, I'm using the sauna too, like a lot. Of course, my obsessive personality came in too much, and I was doing it twice a day,
Oh
and
my
not.
god. No.
I wasn't taking in enough salt, and I think I was killing myself. But
Dude, yeah, you were killing yourself.
yeah,
But that thing, like, I've been telling everyone, like, they ask how it is. I'm like, buy one. That's my response. Just buy
yeah,
one. I don't even need to tell you how awesome it is. Just buy one. It
yeah.
it's so, I don't know, like you take that inflammation even further away with
Hmm.
that, and you feel better, you ride better, you're happier because of it.
I want to say one more thing about the premiere. The Flatland Jam. It's right beside a public skate park, and it's a Dreamland park, and it's a dope park. So any BMX riders that want to come out to enjoy the jam. The jam is a flatland jam, but literally right beside the flatland jam is a huge public concrete skate park. So there'll be a ton of guys coming down from Baton Rouge, New Orleans, to ride the park that day. So everyone is welcome. Come down, have a great day. Come enjoy the jam, skate park, or flatland area. Come and enjoy the premiere that night, and then as well as the after party.
That's super cool. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Um, so I'm curious, how's your vision boards since last time we talked too?
It's just there, you know. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's the things on there that's like not accomplished, or at least I know they're there, and I'm kind of like always walking past it. And it's probably time to do another one,
Yeah.
you know. Sure.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious about that. Um, Another thing, we talked a little bit at the beginning about X Games stuff, and you were talking about the battle format, and it kind of made me want to talk about all of that because I feel like as a non, you know, Flatland's not my dedicated side of BMX. I love to try it and whatnot, but I'm not super in tune with that. And so, like, watching X Games and watching the battle format, I saw a lot of people complaining about that format and like people who might not understand. And I would love to just hear some perspective on it from someone who's actually, you were there, you were in it. I'm not gonna make any claims, but I felt like you kind of got screwed over. You don't have to you don't have to agree or deny, but
Yeah. I'll say this. Flatland's a very hard thing to judge, right?
yeah,
It has been, it always will be. Um, it's very subjective. Like you're basically judging someone's art, right? Because every single one of us, like you mentioned in your other video when you came to Cleveland, it's like every single person has like completely different tricks, completely different styles, and they're all doing their own thing. You know, you can put all the pro riders behind like a curtain where you just see their shadow and know like immediately who that is. You know, just like with a snap of a finger, go, oh, that's Alex Junlin. Oh, that's Matthias. Oh, there's Dub. There's Wilhelm. You know, you just kind of know because they've kind of just been working on their styles for so many years that it's just extremely recognizable to them and kind of what they've been able to create. So X Games in particular with that battle format, all I can really say about it is I spent like 30 years of competing in Flatland and never complaining about the judging, and I feel like that's like the one thing, not the one thing, but it's one thing in my career that I'm like really proud of, that I've never complained to a judge. I've never complained at a contest. I've always tried to walk away with my head held high, whether I thought I deserved to win the battle or not win the battle, or get the placing or not get the placing. So I was telling my wife, I spent this many years not complaining, and I'm not gonna start now because I got like a long run of it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it.
To say that I definitely left there like with my head held high because I had a goal to get this new trick, and I I heard that the format of that particular event at X Games, I heard that they were gonna judge off like one trick no matter what you pulled.
Mm-hmm.
To spend 2 months here like hammering one trick and then to have it pay off there was like so rewarding for me.
Yeah.
To where I it's probably one of no, it is the best moment in my career on a contest stage to like put myself out there and do something that I had never done in a contest before and get it. Felt so good, man. Like I I truly was happy with the way, you know.
So for the people like me who would watch that, the format of the way that that contest was organized, like, can you just make sense of how that actually, how the battle format actually works so that we could like understand it better?
So the way that one worked in particular was, there was three riders in each group, and two riders were going to move on, and then it was a bracket system from there. So just one rider was going to get left out. So unfortunately, in that first round, I got left out after my performance and wasn't able to like move on in that bracket system. Normally, that battle format is just two people, and then one person moves on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so with two people moving on, I felt like chances were going to be higher as long as you rode good and pulled the trick that you wanted to pull.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the votes didn't swing my way that day.
So you got three people riding, and it looked like they were just kind of, there was an order, and once you definitively landed what you were trying or messed up definitively, it went to the next person. Is that?
The moment on that particular format, the moment you touch, you get off the floor and let the other person go. The moment that person touched, get off the floor. So if you pull your trick, get off the floor.
Yeah.
That way, I forget how much time we had. I think it was like 7 minutes or something. But the just keep it moving type of thing.
Yeah, and so that's like radically different than a 3 minute run. So if you had a preference, like, would you rather do a battle format or a full 3 minute run or two full 3 minute runs?
I like both. You know, the cool thing about the 3 minute run is it's your time on the floor. Like sharing that time with anyone. It's kind of like your performance. Everything you had been working on, you can just kind of like lay it down, and hopefully you get like a flawless or near flawless run that's going to give you a good placing. The battle format, what I love about it is it's how I've ridden my entire life, is just like going back and forth with my friend. So for me, it completely takes off the pressure for me for battle format. I've always kind of like succeeded in the way that I've ridden with battle format because it just feels very comfortable. The bad thing about about the battle format is that two of the heavy hitters can meet up in the beginning and
Mm,
lose their chance to win or do very well. So, for instance, like you can have like two guys and go, and but that guy that doesn't make it could have easily been second place in the contest, but now he's back there in ninth place because he lost that first battle. So that's the downside of it. The way to minimize that happening is having a qualifying round to where first place is then going to battle the last place qualifier, to where it's, you know, bracket system from the beginning. Now X Games, we pulled names out of a hat, you know,
oh
so
man.
it was just kind of luck of the draw of who you're going to battle.
Wow, that's crazy. I guess you could probably have like a losers bracket too to bring it back together. I don't know how it would work with the battle, but yeah, it's crazy, man. So, I mean, X Games has only had Flatland back in it for a little bit now, so that has to be a cool experience too.
Yeah, and I think some of us kind of had that mindset as well of like, hey, we're back in X Games. Like we're kind of like using this as like our platform to like show ESPN and show everyone at X Games that like we deserve to be here. And it's like extremely exciting with this battle format and the way Flatland looks these days. Flatland looks way different than it looked in 2003, 2004, which was the last US X Games that involved Flatland. So um, always our hopes are that like Asian X Games Japan is, you know, everyone's taken notes across the board, and they'll eventually put us back in the US X Games.
Yeah, I mean, things definitely look promising with X Games under new ownership and a lot of the steps that they've been taking to bring not only like the fan experience back while you're actually there and making that even better and just seems like they really care.
And that's another cool thing about the battle format with Flatland is, man, the crowd doesn't really, or the viewer at home watching the live feed or the you know, the live television thing, it, they don't have to understand Flatland to really kind of vote themselves and go, man, those two guys should move on. That person shouldn't. Just like it felt very easy for you to judge my round, you know. Um, uh, I think it's like you need to be a Flatland judge, but it's also sometimes pretty clear on like who you think should go through.
Absolutely. I it definitely feels like with the Flatland in the X Games that it has had a lot to do with it being in Japan for the past couple years because the Flatland presence in Japan, I mean, you don't have to be a Flatlander to know that it is just massive over there and there's a lot of people doing a lot of awesome stuff. So it would be really awesome to see them bring it back over here and maybe we'll get because it's on like YouTube and streaming platforms and whatever now. They did it on Roku or whatever for the US one. Like maybe we'll get that full week of X Games back and they'll keep expanding.
Yeah, I mean the cool thing about Flatland is all we need is a stage, you know.
Yeah.
I mean that's just give us a stage, put some bleachers around it, and just the way it looks now, it's just it looks so fresh to kind of bring back into the mix, you know.
Yeah.
Um in the 90s, you look at if you go look up like Flatland in the X Games, like there was like a lot of scuffing, you know, it wasn't maybe as exciting to watch, but now it's just so mesmerizing to like watch these guys and how everyone's kind of like floating around the bike. It truly is like a dance with the bike that just looks really cool to viewers. So I think it would give it a fresh look to put it back in, you know, especially since I personally think viewers have kind of gotten a little bit numb to seeing you know this a lot of this flying high stuff, which is extremely impressive, extremely dangerous, but it's almost like now that Instagram and social media is as big as it is, you know, it's probably not uncommon to see that going on and just kind of seeing someone like go to the bathroom and almost numb to seeing it so much. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't help but feel like when I was watching the battle format with Flatland at the X Games that some of the elements of that could translate over to other disciplines. Like the when you compare watching that battle format Flatland with like BMX best trick, and you see how like they start with 20 minutes or whatever, and the first person goes and they mess up, and then they show a replay and a slow motion, and then they just sit on the next guy. But when you watch the battle format, it's like boom, 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 they messed up, they're in. And if they could keep that going, like I could see somebody who's watching BMX best trick get like, well, they're not doing anything and they're playing a replay of this guy not landing his trick. I'm just going to stop watching.
yeah, I'll say this. I went and watched the best trick for Park, and I guess they had like 20 minutes or 25 minutes. I forgot what it was, but man, that was insane, bro.
It's
Uh,
crazy for sure.
I just couldn't believe how bananas it was, and I couldn't believe. I mean, in my mind, just because like I'm not seeing BMX Park day to day,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like every jump is like just risking your life, and this isn't even with with motocross. This is like BMX bikes, and I'm just, man, it was like holding my breath for every person, and it just seems there is a lot of risk involved with BMX Park. I I can't believe it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly why I'm saying what I am, is because it's like you got this craziness going on, and then you kind of feel like it's a stick in the mud where people are sitting there having to wait for 2 minutes on this guy who, just because they have to do all the replays and everything, where if you took a little bit of a note from the Flatland battle book, and if somebody messes up, we don't need a replay, we don't need to talk about it for a minute and a half, we just go to the next person, because then you'd get more attempts at these crazy tricks that are amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm just like watching it in person. I'm just like relieved to see them be able to like get back up and walk off the floor, because it's like I feel like it takes one time to just for them to not be able to walk off.
Yeah.
And if these guys are like almost like uh, they're pros, but they're also pros at the way they fall. So, but then accidents happen, and for Flatland, honestly, there's just not that much risk involved. It just is what it is. It's like our worst fall, we're definitely gonna walk off that stage, But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like watching the park best trick and just the park contest, it's like, man, you're just like hoping and when they fall that they're falling as a professional as well, and they know how to do it, and it's impressive, man.
Yeah, and then you have scenarios like with Marcus Christopher, the when he crashed and like it was bad, and then he came back the next year and won. Like the
Hmm.
determination of that is just, it's amazing. Um so speaking on events and all of this stuff, I think the next event coming up is the battleground one, right?
I will be there, and you will be there.
Yes, we will be there. I'm excited. Excited to see you guys. And what I wanted to say about Flatland too is like you were talking about how mesmerizing it is. It's the kind of thing that if you're listening to this and you've never seen real pros, like the top level people in person doing Flatland, you have to go to some sort of an event, whether it's ABFL stops in Vegas or North Carolina or wherever the other one of those three,
Houston,
what was it?
Houston.
Or Houston, or anywhere that a pro level flatland event is held. Like, do yourself a favor and go to one, because you can see it in videos, but seeing it in person is just not even close to the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
It is poetry in motion. It's Mozart on a bicycle. Like it's just crazy. It blew my mind to be there at that battleground contest last year. Completely blown away.
It still blows my mind. Like I'm still such a fan of Flatland and the way it looks and how each rider is able to like manipulate these bikes the way they do. You know, I've said a million times, you know, with watching Dub in particular, you know, John William Prevost.
Mm-hmm.
It, bro, I mean, if you were, I ride Flatland and I have for my entire life. But if you hand me his bike and go, what did he just do? Like, just pick it up and show me what he did. Like, just standing beside it, I literally have no clue. It's that complex and it's that intricate these days, and it's that infinite with the possibilities to where you can hand me the bike and I wouldn't know where to start. I don't know how he started the trick. I don't know how he got into the middle of it, and I don't know how he rode out. Um, it's gotten pretty complex for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, after that event last year, I came home and I found an obsession with trying to put some of those tricks into lip tricks in like ice pick stalls in particular. And it gave me a whole nother level of appreciation for not only the fact that some of that stuff is just, it doesn't make any sense at all. Then also, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't tilt the way you guys can tilt when you're on a peg on a quarter pipe, and just some of the positions that people are able to get to,
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't even make sense. And I think one thing I want to stress while saying this and talking about how crazy it is and trying to get like people who haven't seen it to go watch it is also like pay attention to the beginner class at this event too, because you might not realize it, but there's a lot of stuff that people who aren't flatland riders do that is flatland riding. And you could be like me and enter the beginner class and win as not even a flatland rider.
Yep. Yeah. You did it.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to like go there, but it made sense to drive my point home because like I think a lot of people who just ride street or park or dirt or whatever look at flatland and are like, that's impossible, without realizing that there's levels to it and that there's stuff that you can do that is flatland and is fun, that you don't have to be upside doing on the bike doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as rewarding, like some of those tricks, not only they're just as rewarding, they're just as impressive. You know, like the things that you won that contest with, like you won because like the the crowd was impressed, the judges were impressed. Like it was a different perspective on Flatland than what everyone was used to seeing. So
Mm.
you bringing that different perspective in is exactly what Flatland is all about. Is like being different. So you being different and approaching Flatland and the way that you did that day is why you won. You know.
So maybe, I'm pretty sure it's October 11th. Through this conversation, we could get some people there who might not be flatland riders, but want to enter in a flatland contest because, I mean, there's people locally even. There's a dude, Gage Sharp, who is a nose manual king and can do so much crazy stuff on flat ground. Maybe we could get some street riders, as you guys call all of us.
I guarantee you he'd leave there with a trophy and being on the podium. So
Yeah. So, with that being said, the road home premiere September 20th. You can buy tickets. I will link everything that people would need in the description down below. And I'm sure if anybody has any questions, they could comment on something of yours or something like that, and you'd be able to help them out.
they can leave my number in a DM and I'll just aggravate them and
That's funny. Yeah, man. So I'm excited to hear how it goes and see it. And you sent me like a trailer or something. I will put that at some point when we were talking about it. so people have been able to see that, and I'll play it again, maybe even now or something.
Yeah, we have an actual and official trailer coming out at the end of next week. So,
I'll link that in the description too.
okay, cool.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited for you. Another good conversation, and I get to see you in October.
I will see you there, my friend.
Hell yeah. Go watch the video, everybody, September 20th, and buy the book.
Appreciate you.
Bye, everyone.